10 UFC fights that need to happen in 2022. The year 2021 was possibly the most important year in the UFC's history. Over the course of the year, stars like Conor McGregor fought twice, the Diaz brothers fought twice, and champions like Kamaru Usman, Francis Ngannou, and Israel Adesanya put in effort. However, if 2021 was a fantastic year, 2022 is shaping up to be much better. Today in this video, we're going to tell you guys the 10 UFC fights that really need to happen in 2022. So without further delay, let's get into the video. Number 10, Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes 2. Juliana Pena is coming off one of the most shocking victories in UFC history. Her submission victory against Amanda Nunes in the second round at UFC 269 shook up the women's bantamweight division and brought 135 pounds back to life for the first time in a long time. With the previous bout having been so successful, it only seems fair to repeat it. Nunes had been undefeated for 6 years and was crushing Pena until she ran out of steam while chasing the finish. This one will have to be scheduled until 2022. Number 9, Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, number 3. Conor McGregor is recovering from a leg injured in his trilogy fight against Dustin Poirier in July. McGregor is scheduled to return next summer, and few fights might be more fitting for the Notorious than a trilogy with his most dangerous opponent. Nate Diaz's UFC contract only allows him to compete in one more fight. They need to use that final bout for McGregor since a rumored Jake Paul boxing showdown is on the horizon. The previous 2 fights were among the most important in UFC history, and there's little reason to believe the third will be any less. Number 8, Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Covington. This fight is far too compelling to be avoided. Since their friendship degenerated over the previous 2 years, Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington have been engaged in a verbal battle. It's worth remembering that the fight was supposed to take place in 2021, yet it never happened. Both men have lost 4 times to Kamaru Usman, and they need wins to continue in the title race. This fight might be won despite the bad blood and title implications. Number 9, Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones. At UFC 271, Francis Ngannou will fight Ciryl Gane in a title unification fight. If he survives the fight, the most important fight for the Predator will be a super fight that fans have been screaming for the past year. Jon Jones announced his switch to heavyweight last year, but there hasn't been a chance for Bones to compete for a title due to the division's instability. Even if there isn't a championship on the line, we need to witness Ngannou versus Jones after the division clears out after the title fight. Number 6, Glover Teixeira versus Yuri Prochazka. Glover Teixeira's journey to the title was one of the most fascinating in UFC's history. But following his uplifting victory against Jan Blachowicz, he's now facing a new title challenger in Yuri Prochazka. Since entering the UFC, Prochazka has had 2 highlight reel knockouts. With his victory over Dominic Reyes, it seemed to be only natural that he would be next in line for the crown. Now that Teixeira is the champion, we're looking at a battle that could be one of the most odd-style clashes the UFC has ever seen. Number 5, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards, number 2. Leon Edwards has yet to be offered an opportunity at the UFC Championship. He earned a title eliminator contest with Jorge Masvidal at UFC 269 after a 10-fight unbeaten record. With the cancellation of Game Bread, it appears that Edwards will finally get his shot at Kamaru Usman, the champion. The 2 men last fought over 6 years ago, and while Usman won by decision, there has been enough development in both boxers for a rematch to be sold in 2022. Even if the selling potential isn't a factor, Edwards deserves to be in this fight. Number 4, Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway, number 3. When a fighting series is 2-0, it's unusual to want to see a third bout. The rivalry between Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, on the other hand, demands it, owing to the fact that Volkanovski has won both of their featherweight battles by razor-thin decisions. It doesn't help that both Volkanovski and Holloway have won easily since their rematch in July 2020. highlighting the divisional divide between the two. The trilogy match must take place within the next calendar year. Number 3, Charles Oliveira vs. Justin Gaethje. With back-to-back massive victories for Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje, there's no greater battle in the lightweight class than Oliveira vs. Gaethje. Gaethje appears to be the next man up, with Oliveira moving down the line and dominating the division's top fighters. It also helps that the style matchup is one of the most interesting the UFC has to offer. The fight between Oliveira and Gaethje, who have polar opposite fighting styles, might be one of the finest of the year. Number 2, Kayla Harrison vs. Amanda Nunes. Kayla Harrison has yet to be signed with the UFC. Yes, Amanda Nunes has a loss to Juliana Pena under her belt. Despite these losses, the fight remains the UFC's most important women's fight. Dana White even stated as much after the UFC 269 ended. They could book the fight if Nunes gets her win back against Pena, and it would have just as much excitement. If Nunes does not fight Pena, they could still run the fight because Nunes is still the 145-pound champion. Number 1, Aljamain Sterling vs. Peter Yan, number 2. At bantamweight, one of the most popular teams in the UFC can be found. The rematch between champion Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan appears to be set for next year, and it has the potential to be a huge bout given the hype surrounding it. Sterling's first match ended in a disqualification win for him, which led him to being crowned the champion. Since then, the two have been engaged in a verbal battle, with each man attacking the other. This battle must be resolved next year, with Yan becoming the temporary champion in Sterling's absence. Did you like today's video? Tell us in the comments section which fight you really want to see and you're excited for. Don't forget to like and share our video and press the bell icon for more regular updates.